And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Robert Kane, of my current channel, The Devil's Advocate. I have another channel that is already been slapped together. There's no content on it as of yet, but it is called CNN's Fake News. Please stay tuned for much video content on that channel, and I look forward to any comments, negative or otherwise. This is my time, and I've been taking quite some time to address those of the United States, of my fellow neighbors, my counterparts. I believe that the United States of America, and I have resided in the States throughout my young life. I lived in Watertown, Rochester. I even went to school there. I think what everybody is really so concerned about is what they are going to find in those emails. This is why, things are being pressed so hard. And as you know, of course, I've been terribly busy. But as you know, on the U.S. Department of State and Freedom of the Information Act, the White House has already released a number of actually some of the very damning evidence involving Hillary Clinton's emails. I could comment on the Libya crisis. I could comment on the fact that there are a number of these emails, specifically through the year of 2016, that at the time these documents were considered classified. I repeat to the American people, classified. So therefore, I have a question to, and by the way, I've always had a lot of admiration for Wolf Blitzer. For Larry King. Yes, I know you're all part of that little bunch, but nonetheless, I've always had respect for you, you guys, because you really you don't seem to really you don't listen to these people, right? You are these people, okay? You don't listen to these people. You are these people, and you really don't like to beat around the bush, and you'll get right to the punch. And where other reporters, of course, those who have had their press passes pulled in particular, they've repeatedly over the course used the same tone of questioning. They've asked the same questions over and over. They've gone so far as to even cut off fellow journalists from their own networks from asking their own questions. Other journalists from other broadcast networks. I think Larry King and both Wolf Blitzer would agree that for those journalists, and we know who I'm speaking of, that shows no class. Mrs. Dimwit Baldwin has been up on CNN just tooting that horn. I'm angry. Wolf and Larry, would you please inform her to go back and look at the footage? you know. And it was on that day where Jim had his press pass pulled for the second time. There's only so much room anyone can truly give a person. Okay? Also, Jim made the comment about, well, you can't punch back every time somebody takes a shot at you. And is that how you win? Is that Donald Trump's a winner? He's been a winner his whole life. He's had to fight and scratch and pull and tear to get to where he is today. Jim, I have a question for you. You think that he's going to let a little snot-faced, cotton-picking punk like you get the better of him? Or allow you to talk down to him in front of an assembly? Or for certain Afro-American female journalists to outright call him a nationalist? He said that he's a nationalist. We all know that. He's an international businessman. What would that make him? What would that make him? What would that make okay, if I own an empire, if I own a real estate company, hotels, a casino, listen to what I have to say. Everyone, wake the fuck up. So if I own, right, and I dealt in international business, that would make me look up the word nationalist. But then to spin the web, right? To try and, wrap them up like a Christmas present, right? For the Democrats, right? Right? Guys all couldn't handle how badly he just smashed Hillary into the ground. You know what? I have a message for Mrs. Clinton. You haven't seen nothing yet. You haven't seen nothing yet. I've got a couple of emails, like I've said, that are actually not on the State Department website. And you're in a lot of trouble, little lady. But you see, you'll never do a day in jail or in prison. Are you nuts? And that's democracy. That's the funny thing. I can smile about it because it's sick. It's humorous, but it's also, Alfonso Capone once said, "Oh, we laugh because it's sad, but then again, we laugh because it's true." I chose CNN as my platform, not because it's CNN. It's because of the people representing, or at least majority of the people representing CNN. You got it? So this isn't a witch hunt. I am going to grab that shelf of corruption and I am going to bring it down on your fucking heads. You know what? Barbara Walters has just been, Barbara Walters has admittedly stood by Hillary Clinton this whole time. And good for you, Barbara Hershey Walters. Because when I'm done, you're going to look like a bigger fucking idiot than she is for supporting her. I wonder how long CNN. I wonder if CNN will want to renew your contract after that, Barbara. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So, and then, the likes of, and I've never really liked her anyway, Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, let's face it. The Democrats have sunk its claws into CNN and to a couple of other agencies, and they're really, really swinging the bat, okay? What you all have to understand is Donald Trump has been ducking, dodging, and punching his whole life. His whole life. Mrs. Baldwin made this statement, oh, his 5-hour workday may come to an end very soon. Mrs. Baldwin, wake up. Mrs. Baldwin, wake up. He's never worked a 5-hour day in his life. The man works a minimum 10 hours a day. What the fuck do you do? Oh, you're on the air for 45 minutes a fucking day pre-taped and then you go home. What are you really investing into the country? Mrs. Baldwin? Barbara Hershey? Jim Beam? I'll start calling you Jim Beam. You look like you're half fucking high on coke or fucking pie-eyed half the time anyway, Jim. I seen you on the Fallon show and you're just, fuck, I just wish all of you would wake up. It seems to me that President Trump was not going to get the answers he wanted out of his own fucking cabinet or his own office. So he did what any real man would do. What any real father, man, husband would do. On that note, I gotta light this fucking thing, alright, before I break it. So, getting back to my little entourage here, I'm putting together something real special. And I'd like to address Robert Mueller. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? You already have all the answers. So what, you're gonna let some human trafficking fucking, wife of a fucking omitted rapist walk the fucking streets? Is that it, Mr. Mueller? Is that what you're gonna do? Huh? Is that what you're gonna do? Have you been to Harvey's? Little place out in Jamestown. Have you been there? I don't know if you have, but if you have, chances are you were turning a skipping rope for little ones, weren't you? If not, kudos to you, sir. If so, Scumbag of the Year award goes to, because nothing says excess like a fucking creep that comes along and totally causes not only a state's unrest, but a country's unrest. And we all know that Trump's relationship with the Saudis and the Russians goes back years before he was ever in politics. So again, to my adoring public, now that I have many of you right now, but this is CNN's fake news. Hi, yo, Kermit the Frog here. Oh, yeah, you better get the wide-angle lens and your nose grows, you know? And it's true, you know? The bottom line is, you know, I don't know, anybody that knows this, one of the very, very largest condominium complexes, okay, over in Japan right now, half of those apartments are all owned by Saudis. Some of them, I think, members of the Mossad too, if I'm not mistaken. They got some pretty heavy security. I've seen photographs of them and stuff. Pretty serious stuff. And by the way, rightfully so. The bottom line is, give me a moment, please, while I repose. The bottom line is, again, you guys are swinging for the fences. But I say to you, Mr. Muller, if you intend to impeach Mr. Trump, then you better damn well do the same to Hillary Clinton. Because, like, it's an expensive door, you know? It's a nice door. Yeah. Anyways, I'm about to get all dramatic here, but anyway, you know. The thing of it is that you have to understand something. You know, you can cause a lot of civil unrest. You know, even to your neighbors across the way. You know, some of us are just a little crazier than others. So, you know, on that note, getting back to being a little bit more serious here. Do what you got to do, or do what you think you got to do for the American people. Fucking joke. You know, by the way, I wanted to, Mr. Muller, I'm under oath, you know, Robert Christopher Jeremy Kane, and you suck my dick and all that stuff. Okay, good. Now, I want to ask you a question, Mr. Muller. Is it proper to send highest rank of security classification documents involving assassination plots? Now, by the way, if you fucking doubt me, look at where I am right now. Okay? I want to show you something, Mr. Muller. Pay attention now. You might want to get your bivocals on. Oh, my lord. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. Now, is it appropriate to send over an unsecure, unencrypted network from a cell phone? This one's from a cell phone. Is this appropriate to send something? I hope you can fucking read this. You might, like I said, you want. Oh, it's pretty nice kitty cat you got there. You might want to put your glasses on there, Bubbles. What does that say? Al-Awlaki's son among dead in U.S. airstrike. AP. You understand? Al-Awlaki's son among dead in U.S. airstrike. AP. Do I need to open the fucking email? By the way, this was casually sent when she was still Secretary of State. When she was still a senator, when she was still sitting on the Senate. When she was still sitting on the Senate. This wasn't a Mary Kay order. This wasn't Avon. This wasn't fucking Walmart. You want to talk about impeaching someone? You want to talk about throwing somebody in fucking Gitmo, stripping them naked and fucking maybe putting her in a fucking room with a fucking... Oh, you... Really? I'm Robert Kane. Yeah, and I need horns to hold up my fucking halo, eh? On that note, Mr. Muller, be well.